Hey everyone, it's Becky from Book Obsessed Becky. I'm coming at you with another video. Today's video is going to be the best books I've read so far this year. I've read a total of, I think, 48 books so far, and I've picked 10 that are my favorites. I have a small stack here. A lot of them have been on Kindle. So yeah, I'm going to jump right in. Whatever books I don't have here, I will put a picture of somewhere on the screen, and I will list all the books that I've read in this video, not that I've read in this video, books that I've talked about in this video down below. And I want to apologize too for any weird glare that's going on my glasses. I have the curtains open and my face is probably turning red because it's getting quite warm in the house. I didn't want to put the AC on while I was recording because I didn't want the mic to pick up any sounds. And also my son is in his bedroom and he is gaming with a friend. So hopefully you don't hear him through the mic as well. But I want to get into this because, yeah, I just want to get into it and get talking about books. So the first book I'm going to talk about is This Summer Will Be Different. I recently read this and I think I talked about it in my last video, but it takes place on PEI. I picked it up because every year my husband, son, and I go to Prince Edward Island. I'm obsessed with Anne of Green Gables. I'm obsessed with the island. It's like beautiful farmland with the ocean behind it and red dirt everywhere. So this cover really reminded me of the island, and that's why I picked it up. And there is steam in this, so if that's not your thing, then beware. But I'll read you the back of the book. I really enjoyed it, and I'm not sure if I enjoyed it because it was set on Prince Edward Island and I'm feeling kind of homesick for the island, even though I've never lived there, or if it's because it was truly a good story, but it definitely hits the top book so far this year for me. So it says, this summer they'll keep their promise. This summer they won't give in to temptation. This summer will be different. Lucy is a tourist vacationing at the beach house on Prince Edward Island. Felix is the local who shows her a very good time. The only problem, Lucy doesn't know he's her best friend's younger brother. Lucy and Felix's chemistry is unreal, but the list of reasons why they need to stay away from each other is long, and they vow never to repeat that electric night. It's easier said than done. Each year, Lucy escapes to PEI for a big breath of coastal fresh air, fresh oysters, and crisp wine with her best friend Bridget. Every visit begins with a long walk on the beach beneath soaring red cliffs in a golden sun. And every visit, Lucy promises herself she won't wind up in Felix's bed again. If Lucy can't help being drawn to Felix, at least she's always kept her heart out of it. When Bridget suddenly flees Toronto a week before her wedding, Lucy drops everything to follow her to the island. Her mission is to help Bridget through her crisis and to resist the one man she's never been able to. But Felix's sparkling eyes and flirtiness have been replaced with something new, and Lucy is beginning to wonder just how safe her heart truly is. So yeah, it's a romance. There's steam. It's a great location. There's best friends in it. There's an upcoming wedding. If all of that sounds good to you, then definitely pick this one up. I would say it is a very good beach read or vacation read. And yeah. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is Just for the Summer. And I loved this book. This is book 3 in a series, the Part of Your World series. And I saw somewhere that the author had mentioned that it's best to read the books in order because she puts like little Easter eggs in each book, and we refer back to past characters and that sort of thing. There are definite trigger warnings in here, so beware if you struggle with mental health issues at all. Check the trigger warnings. So basically, you're following Emma and her best friend. And I guess rather than trying to tell you what it's about and butchering it, I'm just going to read you the blurb. It says, 4 dates, a kiss, a breakup. That's all it'll take to find their soulmate. When it comes to love, Emma is cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now, the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmates. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. But when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings. Has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be way more hazardous than the curse itself? So, I don't know if you'd consider this a fake dating trope, because they go into it with the expectation that they're going to break up so that they can find their soulmate. It isn't to like trick anybody or convince anybody that they're dating. They're dating simply to break a curse. But it's not just a romance, like I said. There are serious issues in here, and the characters I think are really fleshed out. I very much enjoyed this book, and I will probably make my way back to it at some point. I should also say that these books aren't in any particular order. They're just top 10. Like, I don't have a first or, you know, a last or whatever in this order. I just threw them together. Okay. Another book that I keep thinking about that I really enjoyed was The Frozen River. I loved this book. It takes place in Maine. It's in the 1800s, I want to say. And I'm going to read you a little bit about it. It says, it's a historical mystery inspired by the life and diary of Martha Ballard, a renowned 18th century midwife who defied the legal system and wrote herself into American history. It's about a Maine midwife who proves herself tenacious. She's an advocate for justice when a local man with a few secrets is put on trial. So that's just kind of a quick little blurb and what Book of the Month had to say about it when they give a quick little description. And anybody that does Book of the Month will know that when you're looking at your monthly selections, it has just a little bit that that tries to entice you to pick that book. So that was just a mix of what the flap says and what Book of the Month says. But I've thought about this book throughout the months. I think I read it maybe in January, February, March, something like that, and I still think about it. The woman is amazing, and if you like historical fiction, if you like mystery, then definitely pick this one up. There is talk of rape in here, so just be careful of that. There's also racism mentioned in here and sexism, but I thought the setting was perfect. If you're a seasonal reader, definitely pick this one up in the winter because that's when it starts. And yeah, I really loved it. All right, the next book I have here is book 1 in a new trilogy called the Lost Bride Trilogy, and it's called Inheritance, and it's by Nora Roberts. And I absolutely love Nora Roberts. So it's about a woman. I've got little sticky notes in the book that I'm looking at here. It's about a woman who inherits a Gothic home in Maine. There is a curse that needs to be broken, but she doesn't really know that when she inherits the home. She just sees what it looks like. I'm pulling the sticky notes out so I can show you the picture of the home. She just kind of sees what it looks like. She goes to Maine. She checks it out, and she decides to give it some time before she sells it, I guess. And that was part of the stipulation in the will as well. She inherits it from a relative that she doesn't know, and the home is full of ghosts, so she doesn't really believe in ghosts and she doesn't think much about it. But there is a curse in this book, and it seems that it doesn't happen every time, but every so many years women are murdered. So my sticky note here says, a woman inherits a Gothic home in Maine. There's a curse that has caused 7 brides to be murdered on their wedding day, 7 missing wedding rings, and 1 evil witch. And I will tell you that Nora Roberts has a way of ending books like this on a serious cliffhanger, and there is a serious cliffhanger when it comes to this book. I loved this story. I love the way Nora Roberts writes. Yes, she writes romance, but her books are so much more than romance. Like, there's an evil witch in here, there's curses, there's ghosts, there is love, like romantic love and like friendship love. There is best friends in here. I'm looking at my other note here. It's everything. I think she is a fantastic writer, and I think she did a great job with this book, and I cannot wait to get to the next one. And I mean, seriously, look at the cover. It's freaking beautiful. Yeah, I'm stoked for the next book in this series, and I think it comes out, I want to say November, and I think it's called The Mirror. Either way, I'm going to be reading it. Okay. So then the other books I'm going to talk about are from my Kindle or audio. Okay, so the next book I'm going to talk about is from my Kindle, and I have notes here, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at the notes. I'm going to kind of do it in like a bullet point type description. So my first book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I've never read anything by Rebecca Ross until this book, and I absolutely loved it. There are two main characters that we're following. I mean, they're side characters as well, but we're following Roman and Iris, and they work at a newspaper and they're competing for a job. So there's magical typewriters in this book. There's gods at war, so it's good versus evil. There's magical creatures. There's journalism. There is like falling in love through letters, and the letters go throughout the story. It's not just told in letters, but there is definitely a letter element to it. And yeah, I loved it. There is some stuff in here for like trigger warnings around death and war and violence and that sort of thing. So kind of keep that in mind. But if you're looking for a new fantasy that follows a couple of young adults and that is told with like letters and things like that, then I think you should give this one a go because it was such a good story. I loved it so much. Okay, another book that I read was Daughter of the Pirate King, and for the life of me I can't remember the author's name. Oh, it's Tricia Levenseller. Maybe that's what her name is. So this is a young adult type book. We're following a young female pirate. I think she's like 18, and she is in charge of a mostly female pirate crew. Her father is the king of the pirates, and her mother we don't know much about until later on in the book, so I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, a female pirate captain, and she is kidnapped. She's kidnapped, but she allows the kidnapping to happen because she has a reason for it. There is a mission, and she needs to retrieve this map that her father desperately wants. There are battles in this book. There is great banter, and it's an enemies to lovers type story. If you're looking for like a pirating adventure this summer or really anytime, I definitely recommend Daughter of the Pirate King. I couldn't put it down. I thought it was so good. Again, there are trigger warnings in here for violence, talk of rape, attempted rape, I'm trying to think, abuse, neglect. So check trigger warnings, but it was such a good story. So if you love enemies to lovers, you love pirates, then definitely give this one a go. And a kick butt, like female pirate crew. So yes, please. I'm taking a note out of my thing here. Okay, another book was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This was my first book I ever read by her, and I loved it. I've got the rest of the series. I went out and got the rest of the series. I'm going to read it eventually. There's so many books, not nearly enough time, and those are chunkers, let me tell you. But back to the book. So, in A Court of Thorns and Roses, we're following 19-year-old Feyre. I think that's how you say her name. She kills a wolf, but when she kills this wolf, she doesn't realize that it is a fairy, like a fairy from a court, like a noble court or something. He is disguised as a wolf, so she kills him, which is a huge no-no. Humans are not to like harm fairy. There's like some kind of a treaty going on. And if that happens, well, then there's going to be consequences that have to be paid. So, like I said, she killed this wolf. She is then taken by a fairy that shows up at her home. She's taken back to their world, their realm, over the wall. And she is told that she's never allowed to leave the area. Well, if you've watched like Beauty and the Beast, you know that there's a curse in that movie, and very much the same in this book. There is a curse. The fairies in the realm all have to wear masks. They can't take them off. The curse needs to be broken, but Fairy doesn't know that. And yeah, I loved it. I keep looking down because I can't remember everything. You know, it's been a while since I read this, but she has to find a way to not fake this curse. She has to find a way to break this curse in order to save the fairies in the realm, and including the one that she may have fallen in love with. She doesn't know what she's in for when doing this. She doesn't understand the dangers of it, but love makes you do crazy things, and she dives right in. So I hope I described that good. It's been a while since I read it, and it is such a chunker of a book. But if you're looking to get into a good fantasy series, and I can't say the rest of them are good, I could say the first one is good, but if you're looking for a new series to get into that's fantasy, that's a chunker, that involves fairies and magical beings, then definitely check this one out. There are dark bits to it. Like I said, there is a curse that needs to be broken, but there's also like kind of like an enemies to lovers situation going on. Again, I loved it. The next chunker that I read, and when I say chunker, I mean chunker. If anybody's read Brandon Sanderson, they know that he writes chunky books. So I finished Words of Radiance earlier in the year. I listened to it on audio. I want to say the audiobook was like 40 or 50 hours long. I can't remember. But it's book 2 in the Stormlight Archive series. It is an epic fantasy. There are multiple characters that you're following throughout the story, and you're digging deeper into the characters from book 1, which I really appreciated. It follows the journey of Kaladin, Shallan, and Dalinar as they uncover the secrets of the Knights Radiant and confront the looming threats of the ancient Voidbringers. Now, if you've read the first one, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't read the first one, you're going to think I'm completely bonkers, and I suggest that you read the first one before diving into this one, or you're going to be completely lost, because there's so much world building, so many characters, it's so complex that you will be totally lost if you don't read the first one in the series. But again, if you like magic, if you like epic world building, if you like characters that are really fleshed out, then give this series a go, because I think you're going to like it. I think I'm on book 3, I think. Again, it's like 50 hours long or 55 hours long or something, so it's been taking me a while to read it, but I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, that's book 2 in the Stormlight Archive series called Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. Then we're coming up to a couple of cozy fantasies that I've read and really enjoyed. The first one would be Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. I read this recently. It was for a book club pick that I'm a part of. If you read Legends and Lattes, it's the prequel to that. And I'm going to say right now, I loved Bookshops and Bonedust so much more than Legends and Lattes. And I loved Legends and Lattes, but I really enjoyed getting to know Viv, like at the start of her battling type career. So we're following Viv. She's injured in battle, like injured pretty badly. So she is dropped off at this seaside town, small little seaside town she'd never heard of, to heal. And she is, well, quite frankly, she's ticked about it. She does not want to be left behind. She wants to keep running with the crew, except the problem is she can't really run right now. So she's not going to be any good in battle. They promise that they will pick her up on their way back through, but like let her have time to heal kind of a deal. when she is in this town, she doesn't realize like how fantastic the people are in the town, I guess. She ends up making some friends with some people. She meets, sorry, there's a woodpecker that just landed on my deck and I'm watching him. A little bit of ADHD maybe. So, right, back to Viv. She meets new people, so there's new characters in this story. One day she decides that she's gonna leave the inn that she's staying at, which happens to be above a bar type situation, and she ventures out into the town with her cane or crutches or whatever, and she stumbles upon this building that looks like it's kind of falling down. Well, it happens to be a bookshop. She goes in, she meets the little raccoon that is in there. I think her name was Fern, and Fern has got such a sailor's mouth. Like, she is swearing up and down. She's got this weird little, like, dog pet thing that looks kind of like the mix between a pug and a chicken. And, like, Viv gets this friendship with Fern, and I love watching their story as it goes. And Viv helps Fern to kind of fix up the bookstore so it's more enticing for other people to want to come and visit, and she might find a love of reading while she's doing it as well. She also meets the local baker who happens to have a past very similar to what Viv is living right now, and there may be a bit of a romance there. It's a super cozy story. I really enjoyed it, but it's not high stakes kind of fantasy, but there is a villain in here. So if you're looking for no villains and just like the day-to-day of things, then maybe this one wouldn't be for you. But if you don't mind a little villain action, then definitely give this one a go, because it is super cozy. It was so fun to read. I loved the characters, and I'm very excited about it. I think there's going to be another one in the series. I'm hoping there's going to be another one in the series, because I don't want to leave this world yet. So that is Bookshops and Bonedust. Okay, so the next book I'm going to talk about is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. It's by Heather Fawcett. It is book 2 in the Emily Wilde series. The first one is Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Faeries. And I have to say, much like with Bookshops and Bonedust, I loved this one more than I loved Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries. I loved meeting the new characters. I loved the new adventure that they go on. And it involves looking for doors to the fairy world, like back doors, you know. There are new magical creatures in here. There's danger in here. There's romance in here. There is all the same sass and diva-like qualities in this book with Wendell as the last book, maybe even more so. And we also get to see Wendell use his magical powers more in this book, which I really liked seeing. And Emily, she starts out as such a grump and a stern kind of person, but as we go through this story, we see her kind of break down a little bit more, and we kind of get to see another side of her, and I really loved that. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. I don't think so, because I don't want to give too much away, but there are assassination attempts in here. So yeah, I don't want to say any more than that, but I loved it. And I think if you loved Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries, then you're definitely going to love this one. Now, see, I say you're definitely going to love this one, but then you watch, somebody's going to read it and they'll be like, what are you talking about? That was crap. I don't like that. But I loved it. So hopefully you'll love it if you decide to pick it up as well. But those are my top books of the year so far, my top 10 out of the 48 or 50 that I've read so far. I'm sure there's more that I could have put on the list, but my OCD brain can't handle weird numbers. So 10 it is. It was a mixture of romance, historical fiction, cozy fantasy, fantasy, I don't even know, just a whole mix of everything. But yeah, I'm really happy with this list. I really loved all of these books, and like I said, none of them are in a particular order. They just happen to be the books that I decided on, and I didn't think too deeply about which one I liked the most. Have you read any of these books? if you have, which ones have you read? Because I'm very interested to know. What are your favorite books of the year so far? And I hope everybody is doing well, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye!